Studios presents the More Better Narrative podcast. This is episode 97 with Rob Fusco playing in a chess tournament.
I'm Rob Fusco, and I play chess. Poorly, but I play.
Alright, so what game of the day was that?
It was game one. I got paired against a master. This guy, Matt O'Brien, super nice guy. I fought hard, but eventually my position collapsed. He found like a small advantage and pressed that. I think maybe I could have played slightly more accurately if there was more time, but that's the dangers of rapid time controls. Game in 25 with a 5-second delay, and what that means is you have 25 minutes to make all your moves, and every time you hit your clock, the clock delays for 5 seconds. So it's fast, not quite blitz, but it's still really difficult to calculate deeply. But still, I mean, it was a good experience to play against such a strong player because he offers excellent insight in the post-mortem after the game. So I'm not bummed out. I think all in all, I played okay, but it's pretty much guaranteed. Like you get like an average club player like myself versus an experienced master player. Like you're going to lose, but it's a matter of how.
To a non-chess player, what do the numbers they were saying mean, like your level?
Okay, so a player's level, their rating is based on the ELO rating system developed in I think the 50s or 60s, I forget, by a guy named Arpad Elo. And basically, if you take a player who's like of average strength, maybe 1600 strength, if you have a very low player who plays against a very high player, they gain rating points, whereas the other player will lose rating points. And the higher player wins. Okay, the higher player may gain 1 or 2 points, but it's not as appreciable as if players of the same level played one another and one of them won. So it's just a means by which people can be paired according to their playing strength. Sometimes you get paired up, sometimes you get paired down, and upsets are always a lot of fun. Like if somebody rated 200 points lower than another player wins, it's considered an upset, which I always I love those. I'm responsible for a couple of those, just a couple. The rating system classifications, it's lettered up until you reach 2000. I think it's like 1800 to 2000 is an A player, 2000 and 2020, 200 is master, 22 to 22 to 24 I think is international master, and 24 up, or 25 up is Grandmaster, I think, last time.
So the dude you played was international master?
No, he was a master. He was rated 22 something. So like from 2000 to from 2000 rating to 2200 is expert. From 22 to 24 is master. From 24 to 25 is international master, and 25 up is Grandmaster. And to obtain those titles, you have to play in massive tournaments where you make a practice of beating other international masters or other grandmasters, and these are called norms. You have to play. You have to obtain 3 norms to achieve the title. So if you play in a big tournament and you only get 2 international master norms, but not a third, okay, tough shit, better luck next time. You play in another tournament, you maybe earn your 3rd norm, okay, then all of a sudden you earn the title international master. But this does not apply to me. I'm just an average club player. Maybe I think my last rating check was 1650. However, I'm psyched because the last, I think, 2 months I was able to tack about 100 points onto my rating, which is a pretty significant jump. I took a 5-year break. Actually, no, probably more than that. I think the last tournament I played was 2007 or 2008 or something. So it's 2014, and I'm back playing competitive tournament chess. So it's going to be a long, hard road, but it's going to be well worth it.
So he went here, not here.
Oh, BJ, there's my buddy Vam right there. Say hi.
Hello.
Round 2, draw, and a really exciting one. I had less than a minute left on my clock, and it was down to the wire. I mean, for most of the game, I was down a pawn. Maybe with some compensation, my pieces were really active, but my opponent found really accurate and kind of tactical responses, and he kept generating threats. So in the end game, I think he relaxed a little. I was able to equalize. Maybe at some point I was maybe even a little bit better. However, I think with less than a minute on the clock, I'm more than happy with a draw. I think he had something like 3 or 4 minutes left, to just more than enough time to calculate. But 1 minute is that's bullet chess. It's really, really hard. So boiled down to just a king and rook ending, which is traditionally drawn. So I'm happy with that. Happy with the result. Now it's lunchtime. All right,
And then the game was going on. I had pressure on his queen side. I had no pieces on the king side, of course. So then he started throwing his g pawn. I was like, okay, you know what? No big deal. I'll just put my knight there.
And he didn't play bishop takes h7.
He didn't play bishop takes h7. This is like 10, 15 moves later.
Okay.
So in the middle game, I got pressure. He has double c pawns. He's not going to be able to protect one. I was like, okay, I'm doing fine. I can hold this game. So I take the pawn. Then he played g4. I was like, okay, I need to kind of just support that spot. Sure. I played knight there.
You played knight g3?
Knight e7.
Oh, okay, yeah, I got it.
And he traded on the f pawns. So I played the pawn takes, and then he got this check in, which opened up the dark square diagonal for his queen.
Okay.
So my king is just sitting there. I was like, okay, how do I protect mate? So I was like, let's go there. Protect the mate. And then he ended up winning in exchange. So I was like, okay, leave that in force perpetual.
Right.
So I was like, okay, let's sack the knight. And then he said mate in 2. So I got to be perpetual now.
Right.
Otherwise, damn it. Mate in 2.
Did you resign or did you let it?
No, actually, it made me. I didn't even notice.
So, for those of you at home, to make a huge rating point jump over the course of a matter of months is practically unheard of. At least once you get around 1800, 1900, to put on hundreds of points on your rating is something that...
At first, people assume you're cheating because you're going up super fast. And some people are just jealous. And then you realize that, you know what? Some people just have more time on their hands to devote to this game.
I had kind of a rough tournament. Played 5 games in the open section, which means I played against some pretty strong players. Ended with a nice victory. Going over that now. The second to last game, I played against my buddy Vam, taller kid who we saw, he was hanging out with the crew. Ended up playing him, which is really funny because we play pretty often. And that game was really wild, and that ended in a draw. The game before that, I played with my head so far up my ass, I ended up hanging a queen against a player who was, I think, either at my level or a little bit better than me, but I think I just played so poorly. I have no excuse for it. I mean, a lot of chess players are like, oh yeah, the lighting was weird, or I had just eaten, or something was, I was feeling sick, or some kind of excuse. But no, there's no excuse for that. If you just miss a tactic and you drop material, just say, okay, I missed a tactic and I dropped material. Don't try to make excuses for yourself. It only makes you look like a punk. It's so cool to see how masters play and how masters approach the game vis-a-vis just like a regular club player. There's more subtlety, but there's also more brute force calculation. There's more ability. Masters have the ability to see a little bit further, a little bit faster. So that was a really cool experience. And I've played masters before, and achieved winning positions versus masters. Don't ask me how. And I've drawn GMs in simuls. That's a simultaneous exhibition where a grandmaster will walk around and play a bunch of tables simultaneously. So I was able to achieve a draw against a guy named Ronan Hartsby, who was He lived in upstate New York for a little while. He was really strong, like 2,600. He was like ridiculous. Former world junior chess champion. Really just ridiculous player. And that game was very difficult, but I was happy to have a draw there. According to the USCF rules, the United States Chess Federation, if you are able to record your moves to keep score, then you have to. Unless your clock or your opponent's clock gets to 5 minutes or less. At which point you can, put your books away and then just play blitz. Blitz is another word for speed chess. So if you ever hear anybody say, oh yeah, I was playing blitz or whatever, then they were just talking about speed chess, really. So yeah, you keep score so that, yes, you can go over the game afterwards, but I think more crucially, so that if there's a discrepancy over the board, if somebody says, okay, this is the position, the other player said, no, this is not the position, then you have two players who have done their best to keep an accurate account of the position. And so the tournament director or the arbiter can come up and look at the score sheets and kind of figure out what the position is and what to do about any conflict. So I think it's as much for the arbiters as it is for the players. This is one of the games that I played on Sunday, the Holly Heisman Memorial. And this isn't a system that I play for white, with the white pieces. And I think that I get to play the white pieces tonight.
Is there a different strategy between black and white?
Yeah, absolutely. White goes first. One of my chess camps, some of the kids took to screaming, "Yo, that's racist!" Every time we would talk about, okay, white going first. They're like, yeah, why is that? I'm like, I don't know. It's how it is. It's how it's been. So, yeah, if you play with the white pieces, then you have a minute edge that you have to prove. You have you can go first. Okay, cool. Make something of it. And it's black's job to equalize the position, to kind of play in such a way that neutralizes white's initiative, so to speak. So, yeah, I play this system as white. It's a so-called Spanish game, or the Rue Lopez, which is like hundreds of years old. It's the oldest opening in chess theory. And there's a lot of theory, like a tremendous amount of opening theory. So I'm going over the game to see what he did, how it deviated from the main lines that are, theoretically best, how to counter any kind of clever ideas he may have had over the board, and how to, tighten up my play in the future with respect to this particular opening. Chess is really heavily theoretical, like in the opening. So if you have a deeper knowledge of opening theory, then maybe gain a little bit more of an advantage in the middle game, where tactics and exchanges are likely to take place. So if you can open the game well and get a little bit more out of it than otherwise, like if your opponent doesn't know quite as much theory, okay, maybe you'll get a little bit more of an edge.
So how many games in total did you play on Sunday? I
played 5 games. Had 2 losses, 2 draws, 1 win. Just mildly disappointing because, it was, like I said, one of the games I was just like not myself, and there are so many external factors that weigh on a chess player and their decision-making processes. I mean, the truth is, okay, yeah, I just played bad, that one game, and it cost me. But, it was a hard lesson well learned, and you come back stronger from it. At least that's the hope. So, yeah, 5 games. The draws were hard fought. It's not like, just complacent, okay, play a couple moves, and then let's go to lunch. No, it's like, you're actually trying to win the game. So, and if it boils down to a draw, okay, both sides played their best moves, and you can be happy with your effort. It's frustrating when you play like a player who's like, much lower rated than you, so theoretically they should be worse. So you should be likely to win the game, but if they play accurately and they know what to do in a given position, then it can be really difficult to kind of gain an advantage. And if you try to overpress, if you try to see something that's not there and overpress an advantage that doesn't exist, chances are good you'll overextend and you'll get punished tactically for it. So it's important not to kind of like lunge too far forward when you don't have anything concrete to stand on. So I think a lot of that comes from objective positional evaluation, the ability to look at a position, figure out who's better and why, what are the elements that make the position what it is, and then look for any tactical ideas and base your overall game plan on the information that you have in front of you and your ability to kind of evaluate the position. It's a hell of a tangled process, but the more you do it, like anything else, the more you do it, the better you get at it. So that's why I study constantly, because losing sucks. I'm not, outwardly I think I'm a good loser. Inwardly, not so much. Just like, my reaction is the same when I win as when I lose. Like, handshake, good game, go over it a little bit, all well and good. But inside, if I lose because of something stupid, if I did something just ignorant, then it'll stay with me forever. Like, it'll stay with me for a long, long time. 2007, there was a tournament. I think it was 2007 or 2008. It was a Rochester Open, Rochester, New York, and I drove out with a friend, and I won the Blitz tournament the night before in Rochester, and then we played. I forget how many games. It was like 5 or 6 games. So all I had to do was draw my last game. I was up a piece in the middle game. I felt comfortable, and I think I got overconfident. I offered a draw. My opponent turned me down. They thought they could get more out of the position. I said, okay, cool. And I played on. I pressed my advantage, but there was a tactical shot in the position that, because I was overconfident, I didn't calculate. I didn't look for. My opponent offered me a draw. I had, I think, less than a minute left on my clock. And I was so arrogant and like overconfident. He's like, how about that draw? I'm like, I'll consider it. And then I made the only move on the board that lost on the spot. And he saw immediately, took advantage of it, then and there. And I just went white as a sheet, extended my hand, resigned the game, and sat there for probably like 15 or 20 minutes, like in agony. Like, I was probably pretty blank outwardly, but inside it was like my head was on fire. I could not believe that I was so goddamn stupid. And this was, years and years ago. And every time I think about it, like today even still, I think about it and I cringe. I'm like, oh, goddamn it, just take the fucking draw, will you please? And it hurts. Just like, Vadim said it would. My old coach and good friend, Vadim Arturosov, he's Armenian chess master, rated 2350, very strong, super nice guy. And, my mentor for a lot of years. And he said, look, the more you play, the better you get, the more your losses are going to hurt. And I was like, okay, yeah, cool. And I didn't really understand what he meant at the time. But my loss in Rochester, that kept me out of the money, that certainly helped me understand on a much deeper level what he was talking about, how losses hurt more. So I think that's at least in part why a lot of chess players like obsessively study and train really hard all the time, because like losing hurts, and the last thing they want to do is like just have their ego crushed by someone else. You know, it sucks, but as long as you can learn from it somehow, it's got some intrinsic value, maybe. It's weird. Some people will do that. They'll play bullet games. This? Come on. Nope. Okay, maybe. Here? Okay. Castle's here, so what? Okay. Seems reasonable. Nope. Nope. So what? Trying to come here, maybe? Nah. Get. Could take. Oh, free queen. Cool. It works out in my favor. Now that I'm ahead in material, it's probably a really good idea to trade down. And by that, I mean trade pieces so that my material advantage is a little bit more telling. Yeah, he's got 20 seconds to do something. Nope, it's not going to work. So what? Here? Nope. Let's go here. Yeah, he's completely busted. Check. Can I mate him? Yeah, mate.
Nice.
Very good.
Thank you for listening to the More Better Narrative podcast. Find us at mbnpodcast.com or on iTunes. For more information, visit us on Twitter or Facebook at mbnpodcast.com or email us at morebetternarrative@gmail.com.